This episode is sponsored by Fraze Flowers, a Western New York family-run flower farm and floral preservationist. They now offer unique pressed flowers in the shape of buffaloes, in prints, in different sizes, and in handmade wooden frames. Be on the lookout for Bills, Sabres, and Bandits colored buffaloes coming soon.
You can get a hold of them on their website at phraseflowers.com. That's Frase flowers.com. Or check them out on Facebook and Instagram. Bring more joy and color into your life at Fraze Flowers.
What's up, everyone, and welcome into the Buffalo Sports Collective. It is Wednesday, June 11th, 2025. As always, I am PK alongside my co-host Phil. Episode 366. As you can tell, Phil's a little bit more dapper than me. He just had his yellow hat on. He took it off or orange hat on. He took it off for some reason. I am your car salesman for the day. Phil is your Bandits announcer for the day. But as you can tell, we have, if you're watching it on YouTube, if you're not, I would go watch YouTube and see what Phil is wearing. It's fabulous. I can't believe it still fits you, but it looks great. You break it out for special occasions, and I absolutely love it, Phil.
Yeah, it's always been a bit oversized, so I think it gave me some room to grow into it. When I first wore it, it was a little bit too big. But I figured we could take a brief second to go into the history of Phil's Bandits outfits. So back when I first started, I think I really don't, it's been so long, I really don't remember these outfits fully. I did something with a raccoon hat and a Batman mask. I had like the ears of the raccoon hat cut out, and then I shoved it on top of the ears of the Batman mask and then wore that over my face. I think the tail was still there. I was trying to go for like some kind of Rax look. I don't know what else I wore for the rest of the outfit. I have no idea what else would have made it Rax. And then from there, I took one of the giant foam Bandits hats that they have. I cut 2 eye holes into it and pulled it over my head, so it just looked like I was a giant hat. That one, it was really hot. It was so hot in that foam hat. That was a good one, though. And then my brother took that and took it up a notch. He got a shirt that had a full face on it, and then he got like Mickey gloves, so it looked like he was just, I don't know, a weird character with a Bandits hat on. It was quite interesting. And then we went to the suit I have on now. I think we wore this for 2 or 3 seasons, and then I went back to the casual, kind of rare all-star jersey that I wear now.
I love it. I did miss the suits. I missed the suits. Those were probably my favorite attire because you could always pick you and your brother out. You used to sit in front of us before you moved to the left of where we're at. You could always spot where Phil and his brother were because you always had the orange suits. I think somebody else probably picked it up. I don't know if they picked it up where you left off or if they were also a part of it, but I'm saying you guys had it first. I don't know if that's true, but I'll say you guys had it first.
I do think there is somebody else that does it now. I think we got a picture a while ago with the national anthem. I cannot remember his name.
Kevin Kennedy?
Yes.
He was supposed to be in charge of my wedding, and then he moved.
The orange suit. You were so close.
Almost had him. But yeah, it is June 11th, so I want to wish my wife, Brooke, a happy birthday. We're probably currently out riding bikes. She doesn't listen to this, so she's not even going to hear it. I'm just doing it for my own S&Gs, Phil. Secondly, big news. That's why we started recording a little bit late. The third and final puppy of the PK household is officially getting adopted. We figured it out. She's going to be, and we are freezing again, Phil. So as a heads up, don't worry about it. We are freezing again. She is getting adopted on Thursday. If you're listening to this Wednesday, so it is Thursday. She will be getting adopted, but we're going to be down to 2 dogs in the house coming up. So I'm looking forward to that.
Welcome back to your original life.
I'm excited for it. I am definitely
congratulations on that.
Excited.
And I'm sure it's happening on your end, but we are freezing
I did.
All over the place.
I don't know if you heard me, but I did say that we are freezing, so we'll just continue with it.
I missed that part. Got the rest of it, though, so we'll see how this award show goes. It'll be like a true NLL award show where something the connection isn't great, the microphones for the refs aren't working, in true NLL spirit.
Yeah, it worked out fine last time, so we'll just roll with it. We are going to dive into it, but before we do, remember you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. Don't forget to follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts, including YouTube. You can see our fancy attires. I am, once again, used car salesman. There we go. My head is already sweating, and my body is already sweating. We'll see how long this lasts. Go check out our YouTube to see what we're wearing. Check out our website at buffalosportscollective.com. While there, you can click the shop tab at the top of the website or go to our social media sites, hit the link tree on all the social media sites, and it'll take you to the store. You can represent the BSC on the go, and there won't be a breakdown in this episode because it's just the 4th annual BSC Bandits Award Show. The last 3, one was sad because they had just lost the championship. The other 2 were happy, and this one's also going to be happy. So, to review the awards in order of how they're going to be announced, we got Defender of the Year, we got Offensive Player of the Year, You Got Better, it's the Most Improved Player Award, Get It Rook or Newbie, Undisputed Sleeper, we got Gimme More, where I will sing the song, and then the MVP. All of those awards were voted on by Phil and I. We did have tiebreaker producer Pat come in with 2 of our tiebreakers, and he decided one on you and one on me, so we split there. And then the most important one, it is the fan vote. For the last 3 years, we've put it out to you, the listeners, Banditland, Bandits fans, to vote who your favorite Bandit was this season. I will give you a hint. It is not a repeat champion. So, for the 4th straight year, we will have a brand new fan favorite for that one. It was our most collected votes for the history of the 4th annual, or for the BSC award show. We smashed last year's record, which we smashed the year before. So thank you all, and I'll say it again later on, but thank you all for took the time to vote for this one. It's one of my favorite awards that we always hand out, getting people involved in the show. So excited to announce that one, but that will be our final award that we do hand out tonight.
I'm a little surprised that we haven't had a back-to-back fan favorite.
Same.
Especially,
it was close this year. It was close.
Yeah, especially after who won last year and how they performed this year, especially toward the end of the year.
Agreed.
Could have seen it go back-to-back for the first time ever, but once again, we do not, and I think it's more fun that way. But it's fan favorite, especially with the core of players that's there, you would think would kind of carry from year to year because nobody's really new. Obviously, there's a few new players, but a fan favorite really isn't new. But it keeps changing, and I love the fact that it keeps changing.
So we will get on with the awards here. I know for the Sabres, we had you do the finger drums. Rightfully so. We do have an official drum roll. I'll have to edit it in post to make it a little bit quieter. But we will start with the Defender of the Year. Last year's winner was Nick Weiss. This year's nominees are Steve Priolo, Nick Weiss, Cam Wires, Paul Dawson, and Justin Martin. Nick Weiss wins it again, the champion once more. So back-to-back years, or actually every year we've done this, we've had C. Priolo win it year 1 and year 2. Nick Weiss wins it in year 3 and year 4.
Yeah, we talked a ton on the last episode of how stats don't mean everything to a team, to a player, to certain positions, and some of the nominees in here are a big part of that. And yeah, just chuck that all out the window, ignored everything we said, and look at all the stats that Nick Weiss had. He was a stat monster, and he is obviously in the position for stats. He's got the blocks. He's led the team in caused turnovers by almost double anybody else, which is insane, and it is an especially heavily weighted category for PK and I, who know and we care a lot about the caused turnovers and how they directly impact the game. And then the loose balls, he was also number 1 on the team. So as much as we were talking a lot about not caring about stats, Nick Weiss had a ton of great stats to prove that he was the best defender. But I truly believe, stats or no stats, I do think he was the best defender this year, the most important, and again, a very underrated around the league defender that didn't get really any, accolade. I mean, he wasn't nominated for anything, but his name just doesn't even come up even in like, oh, these players could be nominated. We don't know who's going to be nominated for Defender of the Year. And they go to Buffalo, and his name just does not often come up in conversation, about just Defender of the Year, and it absolutely should get talked about a lot more because of what he has been able to do.
So I know a lot of people are going to be puzzled why it wasn't Steve Priolo or Cam Wires who stepped up, even Paul Dawson who smashed the block shots record, even the quiet Justin Martin who's nominated for a few other awards tonight. For me, Nick Weiss stepped up in a big way because he kind of took over that quote-unquote only type of transition player back there, because the guy who used to also do it, Ian McKay, was a full-time forward for the most part this year. So Nick Weiss added 7 goals, 19 assists, 26 points. Yes, he had 52 penalty minutes, but we'll toss that out the window. I think what really pushed him over the edge for me this year was his play in the playoffs. I thought the Ian McKay, he stepped up in playoffs. Matt Vince stepped up in the playoffs, but I think the player that stepped up the most on the back end was a guy like Nick Weiss. He wasn't just going to double for the fun of it. He wasn't going rogue. Every move he was making was surgical and pinpoint perfect. And he was double teaming with Zach Belter multiple times, and you saw the cause turnover. So I think what pushed Nick Weiss over the edge for this award was, and we're not the NLL, we carry into the playoffs. That affects our voting as well. I think Nick Weiss pushed it over the edge. Otherwise, I think Paul Dawson or Steve Priolo could have been pushing further for this award. Not saying that they don't deserve this award, but I just think Nick Weiss did that extra amount in a pressure situation this year where Ian McKay wasn't there anymore. So Nick Weiss had to elevate his game that much more.
And before we leave the category, because I don't think he's nominated elsewhere, Paul Dawson, you're crazy. Your block shots are insane, and as we've seen Matt Vince say publicly that he possibly could not have done this without Paul Dawson at his side for the last 2 seasons, so extremely thankful for your service, and thank you to Dietrich for bringing him over and him staying and smashing that block shot record. It's insane what he's able to do, and he deserves a lot of credit for it.
Nick Weiss, your award is in the mail once again. We'll move on to the Offensive Player of the Year. Last year's winner was Josh Byrne. This year's nominees, Josh Byrne, Dane Smith, Ian McKay, Kyle Buchanan, and Chase Frazier. Ian McKay takes it home. This was one that you and I disagreed on, and producer Pat split the decision. Ian McKay walks home with the Offensive Player of the Year for the Buffalo Bandits.
Yeah, we talked a lot about this one on the nomination. We talked about a lot of all of these on the nomination, so I'll probably keep going back to that. But Ian McKay, to me, it's obviously he only had 54 points compared to 134 points by 2 other players on the team. So, yes, you can look at points, you can look at straight-up goals and say, obviously Dane and Josh could have gotten it. But to me...
Hang on. Let me pick it up.
Oh, boy.
Stats don't matter again.
Yes, pretty much.
I got you.
This is what Ian McKay did to the offense and what he meant to the offense this season, especially headed into the year. We've talked about it plenty. You and I weren't fully on board the Ian McKay lefty forward train.
I wasn't at all.
And I think I was right there with you. And it's not necessarily that we didn't think he'd be a good lefty forward, but what he meant to the defense, what he meant to transition, how that might hurt the back end, we were worried about it. And Ian, obviously came out and demolished all negative thoughts about him being a lefty forward. The 37 goals just smashing his previous best. Obviously, he was formerly a transition player, then went to full forward, but again, even though he broke all of his personal bests, I don't think anybody saw this level of a season coming. And like you said, we also pushed this into the playoffs, and he was the playoff MVP, and I think he absolutely deserved it. A lot of the goals he put in were extremely crucial to them winning most of the games in playoffs. So I think he was a massive part of the playoffs. And with Josh Byrne getting injured, if Ian McKay isn't there to step up, I would assume the Bandits would still win because they're very deep, but he was still very instrumental in them winning the entire NLL Cup, and that is why I chose Ian McKay.
Yeah, I think playoffs are going to play a big factor into a lot of these awards because that's when it means the most, and we said it multiple times this season, and I was on record saying it multiple times that I thought this team was more coasting, not to make that sound negative, but their goal was to win in crunch time at the end of April and through May. They were not trying to go for the best record in the regular season. Did it help? And did they end up doing that? Of course. But I think playoffs to me for this team with how they're built and their goals are they're far more important. And they're far more important for every team. But Ian McKay stepped up big time in the playoffs, and he's your playoff MVP for a reason, like you mentioned. But I think what he did to that left side, especially when Josh Byrne got hurt in the playoffs, and that's not knocking Josh Byrne. He was more of a playmaker and a set. He was setting up the plays for Ian McKay a lot more than he was commanding the play. I think Ian McKay stepped up in a big way this season. I don't think the offense is as filthy as they are. I don't think you get a Kyle Buchanan type of season if it's not for Ian McKay forcing more guys to the left side where you have to worry about, okay, Ian McKay and a Josh Byrne, rather than the other side is just, okay, now you got Dane Smith and you got Nanakoke where you can more shade to that side. Now you got a legit big-time goal scorer. We already went over it in the there was, what's that math quick, 81 goals scored by two players on the left side. So I think that's another big reason why Kyle Buchanan broke his own single-season scoring record. Why Dane Smith had 32 goals. Why Chase Frazier had 26, because more defenses had to shade to the left side because of how dangerous Ian McKay was. So will he continue to be an offensive player? It's going to be hard to pull him off the offense when he just scored 37 goals, but you never know what this offseason is going to bring. So it will be interesting to see if Ian McKay can repeat next year, or will he be pushed back to the back end and he might be nominated for Defender of the Year. But Ian McKay, congratulations. You broke the back-to-back duel of Dane Smith and Josh Byrne. I did vote for Josh Byrne, but I lost the vote. Ian McKay, your award is in the mail. The next award, you got better. It's the most improved player. Last year's winner was Cam Wires, and we went into a whole reasons why he won it last year. This year's nominees, there's only 4 of them: Zach Belter, Connor Farrell, Matt Spanger, and Dylan Robinson. It's a little early, but Zach Belter, you are the got better most improved player for the BSC's 4th annual BSC Bandits Award Show.
Yeah, so we're going to go right back to Stats Don't Matter.
It's still in my hand. We're good.
Yeah,
we're good.
Yeah. Do not look at the stats he had, and that's, again, not a knock on the player. He is not a stat-driven defender, but what he was able to do was raise his game to a whole nother level. I think he took his lockdown defender ability and raised it to that next level. We saw what he was able to do in playoffs last year. I think that's when he played his best, and once again, I think he played his best in playoffs this year. I think he stepped his game up to another level, if that was even possible, and the hustle he constantly has to be one of the first guys off the field every single time. He's always sprinting to the bench. You can see his hustle even when he's on the field. Did he make a few mistakes? Sure. He's still a young player, but he got a lot better than he was last year, and he continues to improve. And again, I think both seasons now he's played his best in the playoffs, and that's when you need him the most, and that's when he becomes the true shutdown, lockdown defender that we need to see from him for the Bandits.
Yeah, I think you summed it up perfectly. I think the playoffs are, and we said it before the even awards handed out, playoffs are going to play a big factor into these awards, and Zach Belter was playing his best NLL lacrosse in the playoffs. He's another one of those players that steps up in the crunch time, and he's not one of those players that's going to put up the stats on the box score. He's not one of those ones, he's like a Justin Martin type player, where if you're just looking at the box score, you're just looking at who the playmakers are on the field, you're not going to notice a Zach Belter. You're not going to notice a Justin Robinson. But I think pending what this offseason looks like, if there's massive changes or some of the older players do decide to hang it up after the three-peat, I think a Zach Belter has room to even elevate his game to another level this coming season. Because if Paul Dawson's not there, they're going to be looking for somebody else on the penalty kill, on the special teams. And I think Zach Belter fits that description of a guy that's willing to step in front of those shots, that's smart out there, that can play that Paul Dawson type of role. If Matt Vince is behind him, he'll have to adjust a little bit to the style that Matt Vince wants him to play because he's a different type of goalie. But I do think that it will be interesting to see what type of play and what type of role he has, because I do think that there is more for him to give than he has had the opportunity to give this year. But I definitely think that playoffs, you saw the best Zach Belter we've seen so far, and you hit the nail on the head perfectly. Every single shift when they're in transition, if he's on the field, he's the first one getting off the field. That Ian McKay amazing goal where I think it was Dylan Robinson got it across. Yep. You pointed it out to me, the first one off the field as Zach Belter. And he's been known to do that. Last year of the playoffs, he was the first one off the bench to score that big time goal. So it's a testament to the work, the effort, and the care that he has. So congratulations, Zach Belter. You are this year's BSC You Got Better Most Improved Player. Your award is in the mail. We'll move on. Get it, Rook/newbie. It's the Rookie of the Year or the Newcomer of the Year. Last year's award winner was Paul Dawson, another one that came clutch in the playoffs. This year's nominees, there's 6 of them: Clay Scanlon, Taylor Dooley, Thomas Whitty, Ron John, Lucas Nielsen, and Kyle Matisse. Thomas Whitty, you are this year's Get It Rook/newbie, so you are the Newcomer of the Year. Congratulations.
Yeah, I don't think we disagreed on this one. I don't think this is one of the ones that we were up in the air on, but there were definitely a few close calls for this one. I mean, a lot of the awards had a lot of close calls, but this one was another one where Clay Scanlon was able to step up when he needed to, when he was called upon, especially later in the season. And to me, I think it's possible if Kyle Matisse doesn't get injured, he's the one we're talking about in this situation because of what he brought to the team, that veteran big body back there at the trade deadline, but he got injured, and I think it set him just a step back from Whitty, who stepped up in his absence. I know they're different style players, but Whitty was the one who stepped up, and to me, it was his transition ability is good, and it's good to see him push the pace of play, but to me, it was the defensive ability that he had that really stepped up, and there was times throughout the year that you saw that he was kind of a defensive liability, and toward the end of the season, especially in the playoffs, again, we'll keep mentioning it, but it's true, he raised his game to another level, and he was no longer not only a defensive liability, but he was stepping up and causing turnovers and making loose balls, and just he was a big imposing threat out there to other teams that I don't think headed into playoffs you and I would have said, like, oh, look out for Whitty, he's going to be one of the best defenders out there on the field, but I think it eventually became that. And toward the end of playoffs, especially as it got further and further into playoffs, you could tell he got better and better as it went on. And I think he was a big addition to this team, especially, like you said, as a newcomer and the offseason. We were worried about that trade, mainly because Brandon Robinson was a big, big part of this team. And you and I didn't know what they were going to do on the lefty side without that big bruiser setting lanes. But
yeah, I really liked his play, especially in the playoffs. It's another one of those players that, stepped up big time in the playoffs. I think you hit the nail on the head when you talk about not just his transition role, where I think he does have another level that he can get to. It was his defensive ability, especially in the playoffs. Was there games where it was just like, oh man, what is he doing? I think he needs to have a seat in the playoffs or in the box. And I even said that on the show, and then he comes back and had one of his best games. But I think he was one of those ones that on the back end that stepped up immensely in the playoffs. And yeah, I see her sweating over there. I took off my hat because I'm dying over here. But yeah, to me, it came down to, if Kyle Matisse didn't get hurt, I think he was up for this award. But it came down to Clay Scanlon and Thomas Whitty. And to me, I think that because of the role that Thomas Whitty was playing, especially his importance in the playoffs, it gave him the edge over Clay Scanlon. Not down-talking what Clay Scanlon did. I think next year, if he comes back, if he's another piece to this puzzle, and if Buffalo decides to go strong lefty instead of strong righty, depending on what Kyle Buchanan does, and it could be a battle between Lucas Nielsen and Clay Scanlon, I could kind of see going into training camp, Nielsen has that edge because he was a first rounder, but Clay Scanlon adds that extra bit of spice that it was missing on the left-hand side. But to continue with the award winner, Thomas Whitty, I think you said it perfectly when you talk about the trade. Brandon Robinson goes out the door. He doesn't play this year. Thomas Whitty comes in, and the performance that he puts on, and we were talking about how many similar players are back there, he stepped up and elevated his game to another level where it's like, okay, you can't take me out of the lineup here. You have to go sit a guy like Ron John. I want more playing time than a Dylan Robinson, and so on and so forth. So I think because of what we saw in the playoffs from a Thomas Whitty, I'm very interested to see what we see from him coming up next year, because he is one of the few ones that is under contract for next year. But before we, Thomas Whitty, your award is in the mail. Before we dive into our other 4 awards that we will be handing out as we sweat up a storm in these suits in 80-degree weathers, I have no AC up here. We'll dive into our second and final sponsor of the show, Tap That Tap Room at 363 Delaware Street in Tonawanda, New York. It's Buffalo's first woman-owned self-pour bar featuring 30 consistently rotating taps. They offer a variety of beers, ciders, sours, seltzers, and malt beverages.
PK, we talk about the same events almost every single week, but there's 2 reasons that's great. 1, if you liked it from the previous week, you can go again because it's coming right back up. And 2, if you missed it and you're like, dang, I missed that event and now we're never going to get the chance, well, it's likely coming right back. And a few of those that are similar to that: trivia on Wednesday night, Geeks Who Drink, 7:30. If you haven't gotten trivia yet, go there Wednesday night, do the trivia. Thursday is still Thank You Thursday, so if you're a teacher, first responder, or part of the military, get ready to be thanked with 10% off your entire tab. Then on Friday, you got the classic happy hour from 3 to 7 this week, followed by Vinyl 6 right at 7 p.m. to keep the good times rolling with music from the 60s, 70s, 80s, one-hit wonders, pop, disco, yacht rock, and classic rock. Basically, it sounds like a very relaxed Friday evening after that happy hour. Just have a casual good time. And last but not least, Thursday, June 19th, is the Speed Jigsaw competition hosted by Puzzle Buzz. It is a fast-paced, team-based puzzle race. A little bit of a tongue twister. This is a ticketed event, so get yours now. For more information on these events and more, you can check out their Facebook page and to see what's on tap and what's on deck. Head to tapthattaproom.com.
We'll move on. 4 more awards to hand out to wrap up the 2024-25 3-time defending champion Buffalo Bandits season. We'll move on to the undisputed sleeper. This is the under-acknowledged player. Last year's award winner was Justin Martin. This year, the awards, or the nominees, are Kyle Buchanan, Nick Weiss, Justin Martin, Zach Belter, and Thomas Whitty, along with Chris Cloutier. Man, I've nailed 2 in a row there. The award goes to Justin Martin. Congratulations, our first back-to-back winner this season so far. Undisputed sleeper, under-acknowledged player. Once again, Justin Martin.
We need a sign that says stats don't matter, or flip it to stats matter, depending on what player we're talking about. This is another player that stats do not matter. My screen is frozen, so that is worrying me. But I will keep talking. But this is another one where he's just an extreme lockdown defender. The players themselves called it out that he is an extremely valuable and important part of this defense and this team. And what he does is very, very, very unnoticed by pretty much everybody. Occasionally the announcers will throw his name out there as one of the better lockdown defenders in the league, but whenever there is an alpha, a 1A on the other side, they ask Justin Martin to be that guy to step up and take him out of the equation, and 9 times out of 10, he does an incredible job at that. Again, what he brings to the defense allows the defense to do what they do best, which is, sit on top of the crease and have those guys, because he's out there on the perimeter chasing the rest of them down, not allowing them to get inside, not allowing them to get those good shots, staying on hand. So what he does allows the rest of the system to work in the way that they want it to work. So he is very underappreciated, very unnoticed, but does an incredible job. And the biggest thing to him, and I'm sure the team recognizes and notices what he does. And to him, I'm sure that's all that really matters in the end, especially when you got 3 championships in a row. He's out there doing what he does, and he does a very good job at it.
Yeah, and you saw in the playoffs, he had the ability to play on his offside, where he had to go over and play on, why am I blanking on his name already? I was leading to the name and I completely lost it. Who am I talking about?
Which team?
Saskatchewan
Shanks?
in the finals, game 3. Shanks, thank you. Austin Shanks. I don't know why I was completely blanking on it, but yeah, just you see that ability and how smart he is and how capable he is on the back end. And you hear all the players talk about how he's one of the best defenders in the league that doesn't get his name talked about. And even dropping that part of it, he's one of the best defenders in the entire league. He doesn't get acknowledged enough, especially including in Buffalo. I mean, he locks it down all the time. He's like that Zach Belter where I talked about earlier. He doesn't put up those big time stats, and we kind of went over it. He's barely averaging over one loose ball a game for his entire career.
Just
he's
wild.
not there for that. He's going against your best defender. He's going to lock him down. He's going to shut him down. And you saw that against Austin Shanks. He scored 2 goals in the first less than 4 minutes of the game, and then he's held scoreless, assist or goal wise, the rest of the game in game 3. He is the most underappreciated and underacknowledged player that the Buffalo Bandits have had and have had in our 4 years of covering this team. I mean, you can talk about a Brad McCulley who won it in year 2. You can talk about a Kyle Buchanan who won it in year 1. But, and even Brandon Robinson last year, who didn't win it, but he was nominated last year. Justin Martin is, we might have to name this award after him when he retires, because we'll probably still be doing this show. But Justin Martin is underappreciated, and what he brings us, if he's not on this team, I don't know what this defense looks like, because I don't know. And even when we talk up Zach Belter, I don't know if there's another Justin Martin exact player on this team. Zach Belter is more of a bruiser and a lockdown defender, but he doesn't have that same speed and agility that Justin Martin does because of his size. I just don't know if there's another Justin Martin on this team where if he's out, and we saw it already, he missed 2 games this season and they struggled a bit on the back end. So I don't really want to see a defense with Justin Martin not back there. But congratulations, Justin Martin. Your award is in the mail.
Before we move on to the next one, just super quick, Dinner with the Captain did come back this week after a little bit of a hiatus, due to playoffs and whatnot. Priolo does do a really good job breaking down the change that they made on defense, and it was a very interesting one. I'm not going to spoil it. Go listen to it, but it was very interesting to hear what they did and how they switched things up from in the Saskatchewan Rush series, that they noticed something was going on and that it wasn't working for them. They made a pretty wild switch, which you called out yourself as well. So nice job there. But go listen to it. It's a great breakdown. And I mean, Martin is one of the ones he calls out in that breakdown, but it's very interesting to see the defensive adjustment they made throughout that series.
Phil is having internet issues. We've been having internet issues this whole episode, but we cannot get him back. So I will wrap up the 3 awards solo. First time in a long time I've been doing this solo. So let's see how it goes. The next award is the Give Me More, Give Me More. It's the award that you want to see more of this player, or that player needs to step up. Last year's award winner was Matt Vince. It was pretty clear why we wanted him to win, and that was because we wanted to see more of Matt Vince. This year's award nominees are Matt Vince, Steve Orleman, Zach Belter, Tehoka Nanticoke, Lucas Nielsen, and Clay Scanlon. This year's award winner goes to Tehoka Nanticoke. This is one that we definitely need to see him step up, especially if Kyle Buchanan does not play this coming year, if he decides to hang it up or go elsewhere. I know at the parade he said that he was not willing to sign anywhere else. If he was able to play one more season and wanted to go one more season, it was only going to be in Buffalo. Tehoka Nanticoke had one of those seasons where he was not all in. As I'm pulling up his stats right now, he was a player that kind of went unnoticed. His skill set wasn't there this year, or wasn't even noticed. He was 6th on the team with forwards with points, 33 points on the season, 18 goals. He kind of took a step back, only played in 16 games. Chris Cloutier, who only played in 14 games, actually had 4 more points than him. But I think a big factor in his goal scoring decrease was Kyle Buchanan came in, had his career high in goals scored with 34. You had Ian McKay, who was added to this offense, where typically on the left-hand side you would have Kluch and a Josh Byrne, where this time it was Ian McKay was added to the equation as well. So you had another big-time goal scorer over there on that left-hand side, scoring 37 goals. So that goal scoring wasn't really needed from Taho Kananakok, and I think his game was drastically affected. You saw in the playoffs he wasn't as effective, but he was still producing those assists. He was still setting up those guys for the goals. So I do think that come next year, if if Kyle Buchanan is not in the lineup, you need a guy like Taho Kananakok to step up, because there could be a massive change to this team. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping that they try to run it back for a fourth straight championship. But if they don't, a guy like Taho Kananakok could need to step up in his place. So congratulations, Taho Kananakok. You are this year's Give Me More award winner. Your award is in the mail. 1 award down, 2 more to go. I'm already tired from talking nonstop. We'll keep this train rolling. It is the MVP for the 4th annual BSC Bandits award show. Last year's winner was Dane Smith. The years before that was Matt Vince, and year 1 was Matt Vince. This year's nominees: Dane Smith, Ian McKay, Josh Byrne, Matt Vince, and Nick Weiss. This year's award goes to Matt Vince. 3 of the 4 years, Matt Vince gets this one, and I think a lot of it has to do with what happened in the playoffs. Now, his regular season stats were great. He was back up into the goaltender of the year. You already heard Phil mention it in his bold predictions that Phil predicted him to win goaltender of the year. I believe he was either runner-up or he finished, one behind Nick Rose, because it was Nick Rose, Frank Scigliano, and Matt Vince up for the award. And I think his regular season was good, but you weren't getting the peak games that you would typically see from a Matt Vince. He would have his great games, and then it would have a game that you would be, okay, he's not making those big time saves. Playoffs, I mean, he started with allowing 4 goals versus San Diego, and the one of them was the last second one, so you can exclude that one if you want. Game 2, first one versus Vancouver, he lets in 3. And then he caps off that series winning, allowing 9. In the playoffs, that game 3 versus Saskatchewan, he locks it down. And you see no goals scored in the whole entire second half. Yes, the defense added to it, but Matt Vince is peak Matt Vince. He is a guy that just turned 43 years old the other day. He has not lost a single step, and he's still that same type of player that goes into the playoffs and has another gear. It's insane what type of player he is, and it's insane that at his age, he still performs like this. He's the only player that has three-peated twice with 2 different teams. I mean, Michael Jordan is the only player that's three-peated twice, and Matt Vince does it with a different team. We already said it before. His name needs to go around as one of the greatest athletes of all time. Not just lacrosse players, but athletes of all time. It's just insane the type of player that he is. And I truly believe that it's 50-50 that he does come back. If he is not in between the pipes next year, it's going to have to be a very different philosophy than having to rely on a Matt Vince to bail you out multiple times in a row. Because, yes, as good as much potential as a Steve Orleman does have, and as much hope that they have for an Evan C., there's only one Matt Vince. And we could have the same conversation when Christian Del Bianco down the road retires with Vancouver. There's only one of these type of players. He is a one of one. There's no replacing a Matt Vince. It's just what it looks like after Matt Vince. And I'm hoping that we do not see it next year. And I'm hoping that you're going to be hearing a lot of Matty minutes this offseason. But congratulations, Matt Vince. We will not see Dane Smith raise that MVP championship for back-to-back years. We will see Matt Vince raise it for the 3rd time in 4 years. He almost went for the 3-peat last year. He gets it this year. So Matt Vince, your trophy is in the mail. Let me take a quick sip, because I'm talking nonstop. Once again, if you're just tuning in, it's because Phil's internet just keeps kicking him out. We tried 3 times. It will not allow him. But we'll move on to the final award of the night. This is my favorite one that we get to hand out that I don't have a part in. I did not vote. I wanted everybody that listens or any Bandits fans out there to vote for this one. This is the fan vote award. This is your favorite Buffalo Bandit for this year. All we did, we put it on social media. All you had to do is leave a comment, DM us, whatever you wanted to do with who was your favorite Bandit this season. And the total votes came in. We had 154 votes. 17 players got at least 1 vote. Last year's winner was Chase Frazier. The year before that was Tehoka Nanticoke. The year before that, Phil and I did not put that out to the audience. We just voted our own, and it was Max Adler, the loudest goal that I still have ever heard in KeyBank Center. Argue with me, I don't care. This year, I already told you off the top, it was not a repeat winner, but it was very close between second and third place, the runners up for first place, because Frazier and Vince came in tied for second with 30 votes. But the award winner for fan favorite for the BSC 4th Annual Bandits Award Show goes to the finals MVP, Ian McKay. 154 votes came in. He gathered 46 of them. Congratulations to Ian McKay. He already won Offensive Player of the Year, and clearly it's amazing what type of season he had. And going to look at what we said in the offseason, we were very skeptical on adding him to the offense just because of what it would do to the back end. And you see 37 goals. It's going to be very difficult to pull him off the offense, but he's a fan favorite. He's been my favorite Bandit since he joined the team, drafted 4th overall, 1 behind Matt Gilray, 2 behind Chris Cloutier. It's that if you ever want to look at that draft, the 2018 draft, it's ridiculous the amount of talent that came out of that one. But Ian McKay, fan favorite. I mean, everything that he went through off the field this season, it's incredible the type of performance he had on the season, and he's just going to keep getting better. Remember, this is his first full season ever playing forward in lacrosse. I mean, he's been typically a transition or a midfielder, depending on if he's playing field or box. It's just, I am very interested to see if he does stay on the offense coming into next year, what he can do in his second year, because he's more accustomed to this. You saw in the playoffs when Josh Byrne does hurt his ankle, Ian McKay is able to step up. And I think really, if he does not have the playoffs that he did, I think a guy like Chase Frazier might repeat as a fan favorite because of the goals that he scored, but because of the playoffs that Ian McKay did have, because of the season that he did have and the big time goals that he did score, I think that's a big reason why Ian McKay wins the fan favorite. But for 4th straight season, a new player gets the award, and for the 4th straight season, we get the most votes for this that we have ever gotten. So once again, thank you for everybody that took some time to vote for the fan favorite for our BSC 4th Annual BSC Award Show. Absolutely loved it, seeing the amount of people that had different fans. I mean, you even see a Ron John got a vote, and he was only here for a certain amount of time. Nielsen gets a vote, and he's only in the lineup for 2, but he's a healthy scratch for the majority of them. It's very interesting to see not just who wins the award, but who also gets votes and the popularity that is out there. So congratulations, Ian McKay. Your fan favorite award is packaged with the Offensive Player of the Year award in the mail sent to you. Once again, thank you for everybody voting for the fan favorite. But that will wrap up this episode. I'm currently sweating, going nonstop, talking nonstop for the last 15 minutes here. It's been my first solo show in quite a long time. Not looking forward to any more of these, so hopefully Phil gets his internet fixed up, because just talking to a random screen is pretty weird, and I get no breaks talking, and mouth gets really dry on top of being really sweaty up in this room wearing this suit. You already saw me have to take off the hat, but we'll wrap up this show. Again, we're going to be posting these suggestions. If you have any ideas or topics that you want us to talk about this season or this off season, let us know. We're going to be posting out a graphic asking for suggestions. We might not get to it, but we're always open to hear, okay, if somebody wants to hear about this rather than this, we'll add it to it. We have plenty of off-season topics that we're going to be getting to. We got one lined up for our next show, but with this the conclusion of the 4th Annual BSC Bandits Award Show, that will put a nice cherry on top of the three-peat for the 2024-25 season for the Buffalo Bandits, and we will look forward to what is to come this offseason and what next year's team could look like. It is one of the topics on this offseason show. So we will wrap up this episode. Hopefully Phil's figuring out his internet service over there, but I will wrap this up by thanking you all once again for listening to another episode of the Buffalo Sports Collective. We will be back again next Wednesday with a brand new episode starting to focus on the year that was for other teams, maybe some report cards coming up, maybe some refs of the day, and maybe some look on what the Buffalo Bandits team might look like next year. But thank you to Tap That Tap Room, Totally Buffalo Store, and Phrase Flowers for sponsoring this episode and this podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. Follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts. Visit our website at buffalosportscollective.com. Check out our store on our link tree on our socials or at the shop tab at the top of the website. Again, now follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts, and make sure you leave us that review on Apple and Spotify. Till next time, on behalf of me and Phil,